Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 on Prize Picks when you use the promo code. Welcome, one and all, to Light Years. Tommy, I love a good mailbag. It is kind of mailbag season with the summer, and so we got enough questions. I figured let's make this a two-parter.
Yeah, absolutely. Give the people something on a Friday. I feel great. Just it's hot down here in Southern California. We're hitting a little bit of a heat wave. It's like 85 out, even near the beach. Hopped in the pool for a little bit, ready to answer some questions.
Nice. Yeah, what was I going to say? I feel like we have some catching up to do in general.
We do.
All right, but let's just get to it. Might as well get it underway. So I'm going to pull the first one up here from Anna. Anna asks, what do you think about the locker room vibe if JK signs the qualifying offer?
Man, we're jumping right into it, aren't we? Holy shit.
I mean, most of the questions are related to Kuminga, and like for obvious reason. Like it's not like the Warriors are doing us any favors with this, dragging this into eternity. That like this is the question most people have. But this is a new angle at it. This is definitely a new angle at it.
I mean, what's the worst possible word you can think of? Horrific. He's basically saying, I'm out of here in 12 months. Not even 12 months. At this point, 10 months, because that's how far this thing is stretched. It couldn't be worse. It'll be impossible to get him to buy in. He knows he has one foot out the door. They can't trade him if he signs the QO. It essentially gives him a no trade clause. So if anybody can salvage it, I would say it's, I guess, Steve and Steph and Draymond and Jimmy, but it's the nuclear option. You know what I mean? For both, like Kuminga holds way more leverage in that situation. It's an absolute disaster if that happens for the Warriors, because then you're losing the asset for nothing at that point, unless his market just doesn't materialize next summer. But even then, he's an unrestricted free agent. There's no reason why he would sign back with the Warriors.
Yeah, for me, the question was about what is the locker room vibe. I don't think it affects the locker room.
Really?
To be honest with you,
I disagree.
Yeah, all right, let me make my case here. Okay. This team had to deal with the Draymond Green punch in an uncomfortable locker room for a long time. I think if Kuminga signs the qualifying offer, it's much worse for the front office and the team as a whole. But I think the locker room, he's just going to be on an island. He's going to be in and out of there. Steve isn't going to play him. It isn't really going to matter in that sense. I think where it's going to matter is you're going to see the Steph pissed off that they ruined the asset and that they can't improve the roster. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean it does, but I don't think those dudes are going to. I don't think those dudes are going to enter the locker room like pissed he took the qualifying offer at him. Like Steph and Draymond are just going to be fuming, sitting in the locker room, staring at him across the way. Like, I don't think it's going to cause that type of tension. I think it's going to cause tension with the front office. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're telling me you have this under control and we're going to get an asset and we're going to improve the roster. Now what? Now it's just nothing. He's just sitting here wasting space. Like, what are we doing? I think it's going to be more tension between Steph and the core and management than locker room tension, if that distinction makes sense. It does. It does. It is a good point, because I think one thing that we all kind of know about professional sports, if you follow this stuff, is that guys they try to stay out of each other's business when it comes to contracts. You know, they understand that everybody kind of has a job to do in that sense, and it's not really your job, for lack of a better term, to watch somebody else's pockets. So I guess from a locker room sense, it can work, but there is just going to be this underlying tension that, like, we're not getting anything out of this player who could potentially help our team. And it does make Steve's job a little bit easier in some ways. It's like, all right, I just don't have to play him if I don't want to, because he doesn't want to be here anyway. But it could shift to the other end, and Kuminga is going to be incredibly motivated to have a good year because he wants to create a market for himself. So if I'm playing devil's advocate against myself, maybe it ends up being good in a way, because you're going to see the most motivated version of Kuminga that we've probably seen so far. Like, maybe he will be more bought in to do the little things, because if he doesn't, he's not going to play. But I don't know, man. I just think it has the ability to
it'll just be kind of bubbling beneath the surface the entire year. And maybe it doesn't start out in training camp or even the first month or two of the season as something that's an issue in the locker room, but it has the potential to bubble over at any moment. And that's just not something I want hanging over Steph's age 38, or technically his age 37 season, but his age 38 playoff season. That's just not something that I want. So I even if it's, you know, a 1+1, a 2+1, they do come to some kind of terms. I just prefer that because then they know that they can at least trade him if things get really ugly. With the QO, they can't trade him. Like if it does turn bad for whatever reason in December or January, you're stuck with it for the remainder of the season. It has too much chaos potential for me to feel comfortable with the locker room vibe.
I mean, it would ruin the Warriors' ability to improve their roster. Right now, they're sitting here going, we don't like the trade options, but if we re-sign him at this 20-ish figure, once the restriction comes off, we can trade him at the deadline. Mm-hmm. You just got to tough it out for half a season. Everyone's going to play nice so everyone can get what they want. And I believe it. You know, Kuminga, for all the ups and downs, like, should be motivated in that scenario to play his best ball so he can get what he wants, which is a fresh start. And the Warriors will be motivated because, like, Steph wants to compete in the playoffs. Your best chance to compete in the playoffs starts with having a good start to the season. He wants him to make a move at the deadline that's going to improve the team. They bring him back. So, you know, I understand from that option. If he ends up taking a qualifying offer, just all that stuff gets blown up. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to think of a worse outcome for them. Like, it's the type of thing that should get the entire front office fired. And I'm not talking about Mike. I'm talking about everyone. Like, it's just so, like, if that's what it was going to come to, you should have.
Besides Kirk.
Correct.
Stays.
Kirk stays. Kirk is the chosen one. Yeah. I mean, it's so bad. I don't think it's going to get there, but we'll see. You have to take the threat as somewhat credible at this point.
I hope it doesn't. I mean, the longer.
Are you starting to buy in that he's going to do it to spite everyone? You think he's really going to turn away $14+ million to spite everyone?
Yeah, for 1 year, yeah, absolutely. If we know anything at this point, it's that he's delusional about his market, and you know, we can quibble over like what type of player we think he's going to be in the future, but he clearly thinks that he is going to be a superstar. So what is $14 million to him at that point? If he thinks his next contract is going to be 5 years, $180 million, and I'm not saying there's even going to be a market for somebody to offer him that next summer, but if that's who he thinks he is, it already got to this point,
right?
So if we're already here, if we're at this point, what are we, 2.5 months into this? I'm lost on the math because it's been going on for so long, you know, like, or not even, but a month and a half, almost 2 months into this. Like, I have every reason to believe that he is willing to take the qualifying offer. Do I think it's necessarily the most likely outcome? No, but I think it's incredibly possible. And I did not think that even 2 weeks ago.
Gotta love it. Gotta love being in the chair.
Oh, God.
All right, next question here. Besides the Kings, Suns, and Bulls, do you think there's a dark horse team who could want Kuminga?
Yeah,
I want to put the caveat. I'll put the caveat out there. It doesn't seem like anything is going to happen with a dark horse team before season starts. Right. But this is in the context of, let's assume they come to an agreement and we're talking trade deadline.
I don't know if this is really dark horse because this is one we talked about before, but I mean, the Pelicans, if anybody read Jake Fisher's
admiring the player,
scouting the player, admiring the player. If anybody read Jake Fisher's report today, there's a Trey Murphy mentioned in there. The Warriors are interested in Trey Murphy. Shocker. I think 29 other teams in the league would be interested in Trey Murphy. But that does lead me to somewhat believe, and I think that was a Warriors leak probably. I don't know necessarily which side that's coming from, but it does lead me to believe that there is some interest from the Pelican side in Kuminga because the sticking point seemed to be picks. It wasn't about their necessarily willingness to move off of Murphy, the player. They want good value for him, obviously, but we've just kind of seen what New Orleans has done this summer. They're kind of like taking moonshots on like these nebulous talents. I mean, Poole, who, you know, I love Jordan Poole, but like kind of nebulous what he is at this point. Derek Queen, like a nebulous talent, you know, like maybe they want to maybe they're thinking about moving off of Zion, which in that scenario, you're creating room for a player like Kuminga to fit into your team context a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, I think New Orleans is one for sure. But I don't know. Look at the bottom of either conference, and you can probably find a dark horse Kuminga team.
I mean, yeah, the Pelicans are the obvious one, but I don't know how much of that is like wish casting, because like, the Warriors would like Trey Murphy. They would also like Herb Jones. They would actually like both of them. You know, like, yeah, newsflash.
Who wouldn't?
They both are the two types of players they need. They need a true 3-and-D guy who's, you know, not Klay Thompson, but damn explosive. Certainly more explosive than Moses Moody or the options they have on their roster in terms of that archetype. And then, I mean, Herb Jones is just one of the best defenders, just versatile defenders, point of attack, off ball. Like, he's a great player. Like, obviously they'd like either of those players, and in a dream scenario, both of those players, right? Mm-hmm. So I have no doubt. Then you bake in the fact the Pelicans have new management who has a historical penchant for swinging on athleticism. Like, what did you call them? You said nebulous talents. Like, that's a decent way to put it. It's a good way to put it. But like, you know, these guys where you're like, all right, if it all comes together, I see the vision, but there's a very realistic chance it'll never come together, right? Yep. And so I would not be surprised if what's his name? Troy Weaver.
Yep.
Who's the number 2 in New Orleans now and previously ran Detroit, was a big Kuminga guy. I would not be surprised if Joe Dumars was a big Kuminga guy. I would not be surprised if they were. Now, I'm not saying they'd trade him straight up for Trey Murphy, because they'd have to be insane to not understand Trey's worth a lot more. But maybe there's a package to be had there. Maybe they're like, we think they can be just as good. He can be just as good in 2 years, and we're going to take 2 picks with it as insurance. You know, that's a possibility. I think more than anything, the Warriors are banking, and this is, I talked about this yesterday with Andy. I think this is why they're being so, like, almost like a baseball front office in terms of how hardline they're being with the contract stuff. I think they want to guarantee the contract is so team friendly that it drums up a market for Kuminga at the deadline, no matter what, even if it's for teams who do not love him, but like the fact that it's a low commitment gamble or a low commitment, like, trial run.
Sure.
I think that's why they're doing that, because because they can, and 2, because this summer has shown them he's not that hot a commodity. There's teams who are interested in taking a reclamation project on him, but they're not going to come out here and give you like their best stuff to figure that out. There's teams who are like, yeah, dude, we'll give you Malik Monk. Sure. Go for it. You know, it's like, yeah, you want to take the back of our bench. We'll see if we can turn him into a player.
Yeah. You want to take Devin Carter and Dario Saric, like that,
or like Nick Richards and Royce O'Neal. Like, that's just kind of like, all right, take our 8th and 9th man. You know, we'll give you some cap relief. We'll figure it out. You know, we'll see if we can do something. Like, those are really. I understand why the Warriors are where they are, even if I am annoyed that they didn't come to, you know, figure it out and essentially feed on planet Earth up until now.
Who would be your dark horse if you had to pick one?
I mean, it was going to be the Pelicans. So you're asking me beyond that, who would it be? It's a good question. Miami comes to mind.
Sure.
And I don't love what Miami has to offer the Warriors, to be honest with you.
I'd take Norm Powell.
True. He does kind of, I mean, he's better than Malik Monk, but it's the same type of like someone who can score the ball without Steph Curry setting a back screen for them.
Right. And that's not the type of guys they go for, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, but Norm's a little, I wouldn't call him a defender, but a little more stout defensively than someone like Malik Monk.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's a competitive guy. I mean, I think he would fit kind of the competitive nature that the Warriors are looking for, and I'm pretty sure he's on an expiring. At most has one more year in his deal, but I'm pretty sure the reason Clippers didn't want to extend him, so I'm pretty sure he's on an expiring contract, which would be very appetizing to Joe. Clear books, baby. Got to clear the books as soon as possible for post-step.
Optionality, baby. You are correct. He's on an expiring deal. Also, Terry Rozier.
Stop it.
That's your flavor.
Stop it. Don't even go there.
Miami is an obvious one, not because I think he's a heat culture guy per se, just because they're in this weird, we're not going to tank, but we're clearly not that good. So we need to take, gambles on upside talent. Like I understand the logic if I'm the Heat of like, sure, let's see if Eric Spoelstra can figure this out in an environment that doesn't involve competing around Steph Curry right now.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, just kind of look at, could you see like Portland maybe taking a swing on him?
No.
Yeah, they've moved pretty smart recently.
They're also too far away. I don't think they're necessarily dying. They don't really have roster spots for a lot of the picks they have coming up too. I think a better bet's going to be a team who's somewhat stuck in the middle, who doesn't want to tank, who's just looking for an infusion of talent, hoping said infusion of talent will fix them. Yeah.
Having some technical difficulties here.
The ones that are interesting to me are the ones that I said were uninterested in him, but like a Pacers, a Celtics, teams that are in gap years. Like I'm looking at these teams who are sitting somewhat in the middle who don't have a desire to bottom out, but would like to take a swing on a young talent that usually is not available to them in trades. Like I'm wondering if someone like that is realistic. I don't know. I'm focused on the East because I think it's always more realistic to do East-West trades.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe Charlotte. I mean, who knows? I'd take maybe a couple of Charlotte's guys for him, but let's pay a bill, huh?
Yeah.
Light Years Podcast. We are brought to you by Factor. Between busy schedules and summer plans, sometimes all I've got is a couple minutes. Factor helps me eat smarter with tasty chef-prepared meals that are dietitian approved and delivered right to my door. And now with more than 65 weekly meals made for how I live and what I like to eat, I've got even more ways to fit in a real meal wherever the day takes me. Choose from a wider selection of weekly meals. Meal options including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. Have you had the salmon yet? I think that one's my favorite. I love the salmon meals from Factor. And it's, I tend to not be the best about my diet during the week, especially as I'm busy. Getting something healthy in there like fish while I'm eating like steak and
anything I can do to avoid takeout, because I fall for the same thing. Like you're working, childcare on top of it. It's like it's so easy to fall into the I'll order pizza or I'll do something like that. So anything to set you straight like this is such a win.
100%. And I think that's why we all love Factor. From more choices to better nutrition. That's why 97% of customers say that Factor has helped them live a healthier life. Feel the difference no matter your routine. Eat smart at factormeals.com/lightyears. Lightyears 50 off and use code Lightyears 50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's free breakfast for 1 year. That's pretty crazy. That's code Lightyears 50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase.
Guys, today's episode is brought to you by Square. Smart, streamlined tools to make running your business simple. Because the right tools make all the difference. For a limited time, our listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/lightyears. Visit today and discover how Square can transform your business. Guys, I work in San Francisco. I'm in San Francisco right now. I always stop by my favorite coffee shop here. They're always using Square, and it makes it so easy to process, get my drink, and go. Literally show up there, order my coffee, tap my card against Square, boom, we're good to go. Square keeps it simple, get smart, easy to use tools you need to simplify your day-to-day and free up your time for what really matters. So guys, once again, limited time, our listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/lightyears. Visit today to discover how Square can transform your business. All right, on to the next question. This one is a very important one. Super important one here. All right. Our guy, FWI Warriors, throughout this, and it kind of spurred a separate question. It goes, Uh, are the Warriors going to fill the team with G Leaguers, whether they keep him, Kuminga, or not? Because it seems like they would. Okay, let's dive into this a little bit. Clearly, there's not going to be the big trade or anything like that. Like, let's just assume that. Okay, so they bring back Kuminga, and fingers crossed, not a qualifying offer.
Mm-hmm.
That's 10 players. At this point, I'll be shocked if Horford and Melton are not Warriors. So let's assume they're there. That's 12, 13, or 11, 12. So now they got
GP2.
like 3 roster. What?
GP2 probably going to be back as well from everything we're hearing.
Sure. Okay. So that's 13. I guess they still need 1 to 2 players. Maybe they make Will Richards one of those players, maybe Tui, or maybe they keep them both on 2-ways and just bring vet minimums. They could do that. If they're not hard capped, they don't have to be as concerned about that sort of stuff. But I guess my question for you is, taking Horford and Melton out of it, who are your favorite under the radar signings that are still out there who could really help the Warriors, or maybe kind of help the Warriors?
I have 2. One of them has been like a target for, it depends on how you consider him a target. And then I have one that just kind of popped up today. First one, and there's going to be a mixed reaction to this, Ben Simmons. Look, there has been Ben Simmons thirst in areas of Warriors fandom for 4 to 5 years.
I've been there, dude. It was 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was very all in on Ben Simmons. 2020, 21, 4-time All-Star before his 25th birthday. Very good all-around player, but like, dude.
Defensive Player of the Year candidate. At one point in time, he's clearly not the same guy. Injuries have kind of robbed him of a lot of his juice. Did not look great with the Clippers last year. I'll say that. But like, could there be a worse fit for him than playing with 2 guys that just hold the ball all the time? And like, he kind of just has to find space to do stuff. Like, that's why he started to struggle in Philly. He wasn't great when it was like Embiid and Jimmy just taking turns playing iso ball. And I know the Warriors have Jimmy now, but Jimmy is playing a much different style with the Warriors. He's playing kind of more of like a souped up Andre role with the Warriors. And that's how he prefers to play for a lot of the regular season. But I think Simmons' skill set is like, he does like a lot of mini Draymond stuff. He's not Draymond. Nobody is Draymond. Don't get me wrong. But like, offensively, he can do a lot of the high post initiation. He can bring the ball up in transition. He's a good dribble handoff guy. If you get him in 4-on-3s rolling to the rim, he can make smart, quick decisions. He can't finish like he once did, but he's still 6'10" with like fairly good touch in the paint. I just think for a veteran minimum, I think it's a good fit. For anything more than that, no, I'm out. I'm not offering him the taxpayer mid-level. I'm not offering him anything more than a veteran minimum. But I just think and I do think there's interest on both sides. Like I saw a report recently, like within the last 48 hours, that the Warriors do have interest in him. And something that leads me to believe this could happen is the fact that he's still a free agent. I don't think he has zero.
Well, it does help that he's unsigned.
I don't think he has zero suitors. Like, I think there are teams who are interested in signing Ben Simmons at a veteran minimum. I really do. And even like contending level teams, like one of them is the Kings, but like the Knicks had interest in him for a while. I know that for a fact. I think the Celtics had a little bit of interest in him at one point in time. So like, good teams do see the value in him as a player. And I just think he could thrive here in ways that he hasn't in other stops post kind of back injury and post like him just kind of falling off the map. And I think he's good Draymond insurance. Not like Draymond's going out the door or something, but like Draymond's probably going to play 65 games maximum, but it could be down in the 50s. Maybe he gets another suspension. Maybe his back flares up. He can do a lot of the Draymond stuff. And especially next to a guy like Horford, who can handle some of that as well. And Jimmy, like those 3 together, that's a pretty, just in terms of smarts and length and like rebounding and IQ, that's a pretty nice back line to have. It's not,
How much are you being paid for this plug?
Nothing, but I will take whatever donations anyone is. Look, I'm not sure who's Ben's rep. I think is Ben Clutch.
Yeah.
Rich Paul, you have
my number. Checked.
Rich, you got my number. Just send the wire transfer whenever it's available. But no, I just think I'm a sucker for guys like just smart passers and smart cutters and guys who know how to like think the game. And for all of his flaws, Simmons knows how to do that. I do have a second one, but do you want to share yours first?
Give me your second one, actually. I'm running a risk you're not gonna say it. So
It was reported today by our guy, Shams Charania, that one Malik Beasley has been cleared of any wrongdoing in a federal gambling investigation.
Is he really going to sign a vet minimum? He's like way too good for a vet
Who
minimum.
has money? That's what I said. Somebody
The
brought
Nets, Utah.
Yeah, but I mean, he would take the money if somebody offers it, but like, what value?
If you're
do
the Nets, are you not offering him 10 mil
Why?
right now?
They want to lose.
So you can trade him at the deadline?
Fair.
You're telling me? Well, okay, I'm going to play your exercise. Okay, obviously, of the players of it, can we agree? Can we agree outside of Al Horford?
Yeah.
Actually, even with Al Horford, he is hands down the best player who's still on the market right now. And granted, he's on the market for not such great reasons. But if we were to assume he's completely cleared, he is a guy who would have got a 20. Would he have got 20 a year? I think he would have got 20.
At least 15. I mean, he had an incredible. I don't know if he ended up being first or second and made threes last year, but I mean, he is as far as like movement shooters go, he's about as good as it gets. Outside of like Steph, you know what I mean?
There's less than 10 players who've made 300 threes in a season, and like newsflash, Steph and Clay have most of those years.
Mm-hmm.
Steph really has most of those years. Malik Beasley joined that club last year.
Yep.
Short list. It's hard to make that many shots from three in a single season.
Yeah,
like he doesn't. To your point, he doesn't shoot 40%. He shoots 40% on 9 to 10 a game. Difficult ones. The ones Buddy Hield took, which took him to 37%.
Right.
I mean, he can really shoot. To be honest with you, I'm betting he goes back to Detroit because don't they have his bird rights?
I mean, I would assume so. I would assume so. Like, but you know, we're just kind of throwing shit at the wall here, for lack of a better term. Like, if you can somehow get it done, you can somehow convince him to come for a veteran minimum. And I hate saying this because I love the guy. It does give you like $9 million work with Buddy's contract for future trades. Like, I love Buddy, and I would love for him to be a Warrior for a long time. It's very clear that everybody in the organization really values him, like outside of like being able to space the floor and like just being a guy who always shows up with the right attitude and all these other things. Like Steph loves him, Steve loves him, Jimmy loves him. You know, like all these guys love Buddy. So it would hurt me to see him go, especially like as much as I've liked any 1 year role player, Buddy's way up there for me. I was in Buddy's corner even when it was really dark days and kind of the dog days of the season last year. But it does give you it gives you insurance on, you know, needing to add Buddy to a potential future Kuminga trade.
Guess where Malik Beasley ranks all time in made threes in a single season? So obviously the record is Steph's unanimous MVP season where he had 402. Where do you think Malik Beasley last year, his 319?
I want to say like 6th or 7th.
Good guess. 8th.
It's so many threes. It's an absurd amount of threes.
You got to make 4 a game.
Mm-hmm.
4 a game times 80 games is 320. Most players don't play 80 games.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you got to make 4 a game. It's not easy to do. Like Steph makes it look easy to average 4 a game, but he's the only guy who's ever done it. I know, right? It's just the top 10 would be all Steph if he could guarantee 75 games healthy.
Yeah. Yep.
But since he has injured years here and there, you know, it happens. Yeah. Well, it's crazy. No, he's one of the damn good shooter, good defender, not a great defender, but definitely good defender.
Has brain farts, but so does Buddy. Like, you know what I mean? For the reason he's not like a $35 million a year player is because he's not like a great defender. If he was a great defender, he'd be one of the most valuable players in the league. He would make 30 to 35 million a year.
Yeah. It'd be off-brand Klay Thompson.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it goes without saying if he's so toxic that he's just a veteran minimum, take him. Gambling's not legal in California. We'll reform him. Everything will be fine, buddy. Everything will be fine. I know the words of life.
Don't give him the light years promo code. Do not give him the promo code to price.
That's a game of skill, not a game of chance.
True. Very true.
All right, so assuming he's off. I talked about Brogdon yesterday. I'm increasingly getting interested in Brogdon as, you know, we're always saying we want another Otto Porter. This year's offseason, let's look at 4 Otto Porters where Rick Celebrini has to magically make him healthy out of nowhere. But like, be honest, if Brogdon, if the last 2 years are just a subject of being in terrible situations and like vets don't even show up, maybe Rick can get him a little healthier. He's worth way more than a veteran minimum if he's right.
Oh yeah, he's
an excellent player.
Yeah, and this is 3 or 4 seasons ago now, but like he averaged 20 points a game in Indiana, like not very long ago.
Efficiently.
Yeah, like he can really.
He's a little he's a little Chris Polish where he'll pass up some shots and like not make certain passes because he doesn't want to turn it over or miss shots. But kind of okay with that if you have Steph and Buddy and guys like that who are going to put it up no matter what.
Mm-hmm. And people are saying, the complaint would be you're signing a lot of guards, which, I do agree with. Brogdon at this stage of his career and like the foot speed has like obviously waned a little bit. He's kind of built like a freaking fire hydrant, man. Like he's not as athletic as Lou Dort, but that's his build. He's only about 6'4", but he's like 230 pounds.
He's also got a 6'10", 6'11" wingspan. Yeah, he plays bigger than his height. OKC showed you the value of stout guys who are long and how 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan is really like a 6'7" guy.
Right. And this is reaching way back into the past, but like if anybody out there remembers the 2019 Bucks Raptors series, Brogdon was Milwaukee's best Raptors defender or was their best Kawhi defender against the Raptors in that Eastern Conference Finals. The Raptors eventually ended up beating the Warriors in the final. Like he's a guy who has some positional versatility, and the way that I would see a Brogdon signing, like in pairing with a Melton signing, they're different players, but they're essentially insurance against each other. Like perfect world, not perfect world, but like, if we get really lucky,
they're also insurance against pods, which isn't to say I don't think pods is going to get better next year, but a key problem the Warriors ran into in the playoffs was pods was like the 4th most important player on the floor most of the time.
Yeah.
And sorry, not on the floor, just in general on the team. And that's just a lot to put on that guy.
Yeah. And I just like, if you're lucky if you get 50 games out of Melton and Brogdon each, it's like 100 total, but you're hoping you can kind of split the difference. And when one guy's injured, the other's healthy, and you can kind of just like, there's going to be a lot of this is going to be a revolving door. And I like getting another smart veteran in the door. Like you said, they are kind of trying to run back the 2021, 2022 formula, but like, honestly, even a little bit improved on that because you do have Jimmy now. Like the one thing missing from that 2022 title team was the top end talent. They kind of have that now. Like you have, say what you want about Jimmy's playoff performance or his age or Steph's age, whatever. I don't know if there's not many duos in the league you're like seriously taking over them.
I think people think because they're older, they need to get a bunch of young signings. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but what they really need is a workable 15-man roster of guys who can play because the season is long, and the best way to protect against injury is just to have more and more dudes you can trust. Even if, to your point, Melton gives you 54 games at 18 minutes a game, that's 18 high-quality minutes for 2/3 of the season. If Brogdon gives you the same thing. What you don't want is a situation like last year where it's not just that they had to go balls to the wall the final third of the season. They went balls to the wall with a 7.5-man rotation because they didn't trust anyone behind that. They didn't trust man 9 through 15 on the roster to contribute. And that's not even discussing the natural injuries, which are there's always going to be, like Jimmy misses 2 games here, Steph misses a game there, Draymond needs a week off, that sort of stuff. So I'm in favor of them adding players. I know Steve will play 20 plus minutes if they're physically right and let him figure out how he's going to jigsaw puzzle it because end of the day, the season's so long. It's going to look funny game 1 when he plays 13 guys because everyone's healthy. But by January, it's going to sort itself out. Someone's going to be missing games. So I'm in favor of them doing that.
And this is the last thing I want to hit here before we move to the next question. I think that's a really good point about like having essentially 1 through 14, 1 through 15 playable guys. Look at who's been the best regular season teams the last 2 seasons. Let's just look at last year. Basically Boston, two years in a row in a way, they had some championship hangover stuff in OKC. They obviously have the top end talent. They also like Brad Stevens will go so deep, or not Brad Stevens, Joe Mazzulla will go so deep into his bench. Dagnall will go so deep into his bench. They trust every single guy,
was
especially
gonna
during the regular season. Playoffs is a different story, but during the regular season, they trust 1 through 15. And that's what gets them through a lot of those like games in January where it's like a weird tip-off time and like nobody really wants to be there, but you have the depth to do it.
I thought the Thunder were going to be screwed when Chet got injured. One, that injury proved to be less. Like, I thought I was going to roll him out for the year, and he was back in mid-March. So, one, that's the other thing. But two, they didn't miss a beat on the regular season train, and I thought they would because I thought he was going to be more important to just their spacing and their defense as, like, their most viable anchor because they have so much depth. It's not that they were better without him. It's that they have enough guys that they could live without him for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
The Thunder more so. I mean, they played 11 guys all year. They would play all 15, but they had like 11 guys in a game-to-game rotation. I'm looking at it right now. They had 11 guys play 800 or more minutes over the course of the season.
That's a lot.
Yeah, they got used to their whole squad. Part of the reason Shea was fresh at the end was that, they play a physically taxing style. The Warriors also try to play a physically taxing style. It's different, but it is physically taxing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you just need bodies. You need bodies that you need bodies that the coach will actually play because they've always had bodies. But the problem has been those bodies at the end have been development guys that seems like I'm not putting them out there.
Right.
No. So that's another reason I'm like, maybe they do take extra vets and just put Tui on a 2A because Steve's not playing Tui.
No,
it's not happening.
That's one thing.
He might play Will Richards.
I think he will. Will Richard will definitely see some minutes this year. And that's one thing I do like about the Dunleavy front office so far. Him and Steve seem to be really, really aligned on stuff. Just like, at least for this era, the way to kind of build the roster out and the type of players they need. I think there is, despite how good of friends Bob and Steve were, I think towards the end there was some like fracturing of like what the team needed to succeed. I think Bob was way more on the youth movement than Steve was. Whereas it seems like Dunleavy just kind of gets, and you can criticize Dunleavy for some stuff so far, but they seem pretty aligned on what is necessary to like get the job done towards the end of this current era.
The other player I wanted to mention, Trey Lyles.
Oh, I would love that.
I'm not convinced they need. No, they do need another front court player.
Sure.
I kind of reject the idea that they don't need more guards. They definitely need more guards. They need another ball handler. Well, I mean, with 9 players, they need a lot of things. But yes. Trey Lyles, best shooting big man left on the market. I mean, the dude can really shoot the ball.
He can.
It's a little insurance against Quentin Post. Quentin Post, I think, can really shoot the ball, but sophomore slump's a very realistic thing. Yeah. And also defensively, he's not good. And once teams have figured out he can shoot the ball, they've also are going to figure out if he is shooting the ball well, how to get him off the floor very fast, which is ball screen. Get him in an action. Get our best guard exposing him, which is a problem. Trey Lyles not calling him an all-world defender. Like, newsflash, if he was a good defender and he could shoot, he'd be signed to a very expensive contract. Yeah. But he's a little more chance of holding up against some of those switches.
And just a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more experienced.
Yeah. And honestly, just like front court shooting matters. Like give Jimmy space to own in the paint. Give Kuminga, when he's back, space to own in the paint. Space the floor in general. Like, we got Trace Jackson Davis to be that rim runner. Draymond's not a shooting threat. He doesn't get guarded like one, even though he is a perimeter-oriented player. Just more shooting helps. It just does.
Always does.
Cool. Next one. I like this one. What's your opening night? What do you think the opening night starting 5 is?
Steph, Jimmy, Dre, Horford. Oh, man. It's going to be one of 2 guys. I don't think it'll be Melton because they're probably going to slow play the ACL.
I don't even know if he's going to be healthy opening night.
Right.
To play.
According to Tommy Gunn, NBA's conversations in Las Vegas with the Anthony Melton at the Encore pool, he was feeling pretty good, but who knows? It'll be one of 2 guys. It'll be Pods, or if he's on the roster, I have a hunch it'll be Malcolm Brogdon. Steve
Ooh.
Steve is going to fucking love Malcolm Brogdon. We are going to get so many Steve quotes out of training camp about how much he loves the guy and
He
just what a
just
good fit
gets
he
it.
is. He just gets it. He understands what we want to do.
I love when
He's
Steve uses those like kind of like lazy euphemisms, which is just like, I can't say what I really think, so I'm just gonna go like, I just gets it.
Exactly. But I mean, I have a variation of that, which is a more interesting one. But you go with yours, and then I'll bring up kind of my wild card one.
All right, so it's my theory that if they get Horford, they will stagger Draymond and Horford.
Okay.
So I think Draymond will start opening night just for legacy reasons, but I think Draymond's going to end up coming off the bench because it's and this is to say I will bet every dollar Draymond closes every game that matters.
Oh, of course.
But it's just a way to keep his body healthier. Horford can do most of the things he can do in terms of quarterbacking and defense. And I think they'll start Kuminga.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna hear about the camp, how the contract stuff doesn't matter, how he seems motivated like they've never seen before. I mean, it's going to be.
I'm already sick of it.
It's going to be an all-time pump and dump. You know, it's going to be an all-time sell. It's going to be an all-time sell right here. They're going to be trying to push that stock up as high as it can go. So I'm going Steph at the 1, Pods at the 2. Although I agree with you, Melton will get the starting 2-guard spot when he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think Celebrini is going to clear him for that. I think they're going to slow play him, particularly off of it just sucks what happened with him last year. So I think opening night will be Pods. I think all goes well. January to be Melton. By the way, let's see it here there. Pods, Jimmy at the 3, Kuminga at the 4, Big Al at the 5. Solid blend of youth with veterans. Allows you to bring Draymond with Quentin Post in the second unit and then close with Draymond, the small ball 5. But he's not having to bang with like the other team starting center all game. He's just having to do it for like the last 3 minutes and a half where it's a little more chaotic. I think that's what they're going to get to. With that said, like I would not be shocked if, they don't get to that till game 15. They start the old guy lineup and then they use it as an excuse to be like, oh, it makes more sense rotationally to do this.
So that was going to be something like that was going to be my variation is essentially Draymond moving into the Iguodala role. And I don't hate it. If Kuminga's back, I really don't hate it. Like give the kid some runway. Let's see if he's more bought in this year. Let's see if anything's improved. The lineup does make more sense around him. The reason I would almost go Brogdon over Pods, even in that lineup, as much as I love Pods, Brogdon's a better floor spacer. You know what I mean? And I think, and I love Pods, but I think the extra shooting, especially in a lineup with, and Al places the floor too, so I got to kind of reorient my mind to actually having a 5 who stretches the floor. But yeah, I just think the extra floor spacing will help Kuminga if they're really trying to let Kuminga pop. And then you bring Pods and Dre and Post and whoever else off the bench is pretty fun. Bringing Buddy with that group, like that's a good bench group. That's a really good bench group. Like you're gonna have a lot of games where that bench group kind of like runs teams off the floor. But yeah, I think I would side Brogdon there. Maybe I'm being a little bit too positive with the Brogdon stuff and a little bit too hopeful that he'll actually be healthy for a long stretch of the season. But I could see them doing that as well. But
it would be. I mean, I know the Horford thing has been known for months, and we're assuming it's true, but it would be wild if 2 of their starters are vets who don't sign until September 12th. Just like on principle,
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy if you think about it. Even if they are people they had verbal agreements with, and it's just a CBA quirk with the contract and everything, it's still kind of crazy.
Yeah, but it's weird, but like those are just guys who they just get it,
right?
They're not gonna have a hard time picking up the system. They're just not. Like I have zero doubts about that.
What if they're working on a secret cave with Steph already?
They might be. Who knows?
All right, last question from Guy Ryan. Does the chair have enough legs to take us through September, or are we looking at one of those floor gaming chair situations?
We might need to invent like the octo chair that has 8 legs. You know what I mean? Just legs just in a circle as the support for the chair. I don't know, man. I think we're going to get to real NFL games before this situation gets solved. It feels like.
Correct. Correct. We are. I will not be defeated. We will be fine. We will be able to keep going. I'm gonna need to get a chair like this though. I need one of those. I need one of those reclining chairs. That's what I need.
Ooh, that does sound nice.
It's something like this. There you go.
Dude, apparently that's what they got my guy Matt Stafford in for his back down in Rams training camp. It's crazy. That it looks exactly like that. Maybe we need to get. Have you seen that thing? That contraption they got him laying in? It's nuts. Maybe that's what we need to get.
That can't that just can't be a good thing. It's like, no, but he'll be fine by week 1. I was like, will he? What's gonna happen when Nick Bosa hits him once?
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. At this point, that actually does look kind of sick. It's like a workstation.
Shoot me if I'm in a workstation like that. All right.